very timely that we approve this strategic compass in a moment in which I think every citizen in Europe can understand the purpose of a document who wants to increase and strengthen the European Union as a security provider. As I said, this is the result of 2 years of hard work, and I want to thank my team at the External Action Service and also all Ministers of Defence and Foreign Affairs that has been working on that for all this time, even this weekend, a lot of last-minute work in order to ensure that everybody was on board. You have heard me talking about this quite many times during this long period of 2 years, and I want just to stress the fact that it's not an answer to the latest international development, in particular to the Russian military aggression in Ukraine. It's an answer to the feeling that the European Union has to be more engaged, coordinating the efforts of the member states in order to increase the capacity of all of us together, certainly in complementarity with NATO, in order to make Europe more stronger. When I presented the start of the compass, the draft that we presented to the member states in November, I said Europe is in danger. And this sentence, well, many believe that it was a matter of selling the product, to attract the attention of the people, to give a headline. Well, today I think everybody is convinced that Europe is in danger. That is blatantly obvious due to the invasion of Ukraine. It's not a rhetoric. By the contrary, this invasion and the war that is going on is a tectonic shift on the geopolitical landscape of Europe. And our reaction to the war has demonstrated that we, as the European Union, we can act firmly and united. And today that compass confirms this capacity. Will help us to act in response to crisis, to secure our Union and our European citizens, increase our resilience, to invest in the required capabilities and in defence innovation. It's important to know how much Europeans are spending on their defence and to follow the evolution of the military expenditure since the beginning of the century, passing by the Crimea annexion in 2014 until this moment. These figures are important in order to understand where we are coming from, and why we should react. Today, the military expenditure in Europe of all member states, adding up, it's about 200,000 million euros, 1.5 of the GNP. It was decreasing until 2014, decreasing quite quickly, and since 2000 started decreasing again until 1.5. But we have to invest more. Everybody will understand that if we want to push and to be more able to face situations capabilities. And with 1.5 of the GNP, it's not enough. We have to spend more. Deeper these defence gaps. Where are the holes in which we don't have the means and ways to react? What we are missing? And what we are having 2 or 3 times in a duplication that is not effective. This 200,000 million euros is more or less 4 times the military expenditure of Russia. Altogether, we spend almost 4 times Russia, but certainly not with the same efficiency. 200,000 million euros is the same military expenditure of China. Altogether, we spend as much as China. But certainly, it's not the same thing, 27 different parts, that one integrated military structure. We don't want to create an European army. It's not about creating a European army. The European armies will remain, each member state having its own military army. But we have to work together closer. We have to coordinate better our expenditure. We have to be able to react. And one of the ways to react rapidly is this rapid deployment capacity that has been agreed. I am very happy that finally this proposal has been agreed by the member states, which will allow us to mobilize 5,000 troops, train and equip to react to crisis. We will strengthen our control and command capabilities. We will conduct live exercises together. It has never been happening, never. European armies have been training together apart from the NATO framework. And we will better tools to fight hybrid attacks, hybrid campaigns, cyber threats, and foreign interference and manipulation of information. Because the battlefields of tomorrow are also on the networks, are on the cyberspace, are on the outer space, on the high sea. It's not only a matter of conquering land, it's conquering minds of the people. And the minds of the people at the end determines the behavior of their governments and the votes, for example, on the United Nations. So there is a big work to do, not with guns, but with words, with ideas, countering propaganda and disinformation and present things the way they are. This will allow us to support our partners and to be a better partner. To support our partners, as we are doing now with Ukraine, and to be a better partner inside inside the NATO, with the United Nations and with the African Union. We cannot act alone. We want to act in a more coordinated way among us, and we want to act in a more integrated way with our partners, acting in complementarity with NATO, which remains certainly the cornerstone of the territorial defense of Europe. But we, Europeans, with this document, we stated our strong will to be a stronger security provider for our citizens, for the stability of the world, and for the peace of the world. We will be more effective on facing crisis, securing, acting, investing, and partnering. This is not a document to keep on the shelf. This is a guide to action with a concrete timeline. That's what we have to do and when we have to do. This has to be updated frequently. It has been updated in the last weeks in order to stress the importance of the Ukrainian war, not because we didn't discover before the Ukrainian war that Russia was one of the most important challenges that we are facing. We knew it. We knew it, and it was considered since the beginning in our threat analysis. But it was much more evident, and we have to adapt the text in order to reflect the current situation. But it will have to be updated often. Will have to be under the control of the leaders of the European Union Council, to which I will present the compass on the next meeting this week. And finally, let me say one thing. This is only the beginning. This is only the beginning. We are going to work a lot on that. It's time to translate all these purposes into concrete results. We need to study our defense gaps. We need to fill these defense gaps. We need to be effective, coordinated. We have to increase our resilience. And certainly, we will have to ask for a better commitment of the European citizens as taxpayers in order to make the European Union, as I said at the beginning, a better security provider. Otherwise, we will be in danger. We are in danger. And in order to face these dangers, we have to take conscience, full conscience of that, and act accordingly with that. I think that the Ukrainian war has been a kind of awakening for our conscience. For example, the energy dependency is something that we have been increasing our energy dependency from Russia for years. And now we take full conscience of the weaponization of dependencies. Dependency become a weapon. It is a weapon. It is being used as a weapon. And we have to react when someone uses something as a weapon against us. We are not a military union. We are not a military alliance. But we want to play a role in order to provide to the European citizens more security in a challenging and dangerous world. We are not living in the world we would like to be. We live in the world the way it is. And this world is dangerous. This world is challenging. Our neighborhood is in flames. From Gibraltar to Ukraine, we are surrounded by a circle of challenges, of dangerous situations. And we have to face them. And that's why we have been working with all member states to produce this analysis, this approach, of fulfilling the mandate of the Treaty of the Union, who clearly states that the Union has to build progressively a common security and defense policy, charging the High Representative to conduct this work. And it's my pleasure to present to you, after 2 years of work, what is certainly a big step forward to the building of this common and security policy for the European Union. Thank you. I forgot that we had a fact this morning. Certainly, we had a fact this morning, and in the fact this morning, we did a lot of things apart from the strategic compass. The strategic compass was on the way because my team was trying to arrange the last things that could allow us to have on board all member states. But before the Jumbo meeting with the defense ministers, we had another important meeting with the foreign affairs ministers. And as you can imagine, the invasion of Ukraine by Russia was the main issue in agenda. The ministers analyzed the situation and decided to continue and taking decisions. Today was not the moment to take concrete decisions, but to have a look at where we are, at what is going to happen, and what can we do on the next days. The conclusions are very clear. All member states remain extraordinarily united in supporting Ukraine diplomatically and the international stage. We will continue isolating Russia, to call out for war crimes, for blatant violations of humanitarian and international law. We will continue supporting Ukraine economically, financially, with humanitarian assistance, and supporting Ukrainian armed forces. I am glad to announce that we have reached a political agreement for the additional 500 million under the European Peace Facility. And we consider that what's happening in Ukraine is a war crime, a massive war crime committed by the Russian armed forces against Ukrainian people. And this cannot go unanswered. And that's why we welcome the Commission of Inquiry set up by the United Nations Human Rights Council. We welcome the investigation by the International Criminal Court prosecutor. And we recall the order by this International Court of Justice for Russia to stop the invasion of Ukraine. Restrictive measures continue constituting an important part of our approach, and we are ready to take further according with our partners. We will continue engaging with international partners in order to continue putting pressure on Russia. At the end of the meeting, we were joined by the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Moldova, Nicu Popescu. Moldova, as you know, is one of the countries more affected and most threatened by the Russian aggression. They are responding with an incredible generosity and solidarity with their Ukrainian neighbors. 30% of the children in Moldova today are children from Ukraine, refugees from Ukraine, and their education system is under huge strain, but they are integrating them fully, allowing them to continue learning. They need our support. We will provide all the support they need in order to face this challenging situation. The ministers collectively committed to step up our support to Moldova. At that moment, there are 3.2, maybe at that hour of the day, maybe 3.3 million of refugees, and the flow continues. I am convinced that Putin is using the refugees as a tool, as an arm, sending as much as they can. They haven't destroyed the transport infrastructure. They just destroy the cities in order to terrify the civilians and make them escape. We are ready to help all of them. This is a symmetric burden because some member states in the border are having a stronger burden. They are facing this flow of refugees in the front line, but all member states will be in full solidarity to attend these people. Then we talk about Mali. The situation in Mali is not good. The attitude of the Malian authorities has pushed Barkhane and the special forces of the Takuba to leave. Et en même temps que Takuba et Barkhane sont partis du Mali, ou vont partir du Mali,
Takuba will be leaving
nous restons
Mali,
très inquiets à propos de l'engagement de la société Wagner au Mali. Cette société est bien connue par ses exactions dans tous les théâtres où elle a
they are notorious for atrocities wherever they have been in action. The question is, what should we do with our military training mission? The training mission cannot become involved in any way in activities which could call into question or undermine the reputation of the European Union. So we want to remain involved in Mali, but not at any price. Until now, our presence has been not massive, but considerable. Takuba, Barkhane, the training EUTM mission in Mali, the European Peace Facility. They've all been involved. We've worked with the Mali army, but now we are asking for those units trained by us do not collaborate, work with Wagner. And we are awaiting a response on that from the Malian authorities. If we don't get the guarantees we've requested, we will have no choice but to completely overhaul our involvement and presence in Mali and reconsider it. So we are waiting to hear now what the decision will be. But in the meantime, we continue to provide direct financial aid to the populations in the Mali and the Sahel more broadly. The ministers highlighted the decision to extend support to other countries such as Burkina Faso and Niger in the region. I think everybody is aware of the complexity
qui requiert un investissement qui va au-delà des structures de sécurité et de défense pour garantir le bien-être des populations qui sont terriblement stressées par les conséquences de la lutte contre le terrorisme et à la fois par le changement climatique, par la sécheresse,
not to
et que maintenant
mention
vont
climate
subir
change,
les
drought,
conséquences de la
and who
montée
will
du
now
prix
be facing, of course,
des denrées alimentaires
a huge increase in food
de l'énergie.
prices as
Mais
well
ça,
as
c'est un
energy
problème pas
prices.
seulement du Mali, pas
Okay,
seulement du
that's not
Sahel.
just Mali, of course.
Ça
It's
sera
not even just
malheureusement
the
un problème
Sahel.
qui va toucher beaucoup de
It's a
pays en
problem
Afrique,
that will affect many
beaucoup de
African
pays dans notre
countries,
voisinage.
many
Les
countries
sociétés
within our
européennes, elles aussi, vont être
neighborhood.
touchées par la montée des prix,
We ourselves
qui ne
will,
sont
of
pas les
course, be
conséquences
affected
des sanctions
by
économiques
the
contre la Russie.
increase in
C'est la
prices, which are
conséquence
not the
purement et
result
simplement
of our
de la guerre.
sanctions, but the result of
Et voilà.
the war.
Merci
Pure and
beaucoup.
simple.
Non, ça va, non, là, c'est bon. Natalia, you have the floor.
Just up here. I want to ask about the discussion on an energy import ban from Russia. Is there any frustration in Germany's resistance?
Yeah.
Is there any frustration?
No, repeat.
Does this work? Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay.
But please, because we couldn't hear you.
I'll repeat. I wanted to ask about the discussion about possible energy import ban on Russia. Is there any frustration on Germany's resistance to such an import ban? And with Biden's visit later this week, could the U.S. help alleviate any economic pain that such an import ban would have on European countries? Thank you.
Sí, I'm going to speak in Spanish because I already speak in English and French. Let's use Spanish also. Sí, entre las muchas cosas que se han considerado hoy sobre la situación en Ucrania, algunos Estados miembros han planteado las cuestiones relacionadas con la energía. Hoy no era un día para tomar decisiones, ninguna decisión ha sido tomada, pero esta y otras posibles medidas han sido objeto de análisis por parte de los ministros. Y no se trata de que un país o dos países o tres países estén a favor o en contra. Se trata de conseguir a la vez una respuesta eficaz que no signifique un coste inasumible para los Estados miembros. Y como les digo, hoy no era un día para tomar decisiones, pero sí para analizar las posibles acciones que se pudieran tomar en el futuro. Y ciertamente la cuestión de la energía ha sido sacada a colación por varios Estados miembros. Ha habido un interesante cambio de opiniones y de datos al respecto.
Thank you. Now I will go to the colleagues remotely, and I will give the floor to Christian.
Oui, bonsoir Monsieur Borrell. Christian Spielmann de l'AFP. Je voudrais revenir sur la
Christian Spielmann, AFP. I'd like to come back to the strategic compass. Could you possibly say in what way this won't duplicate what the NATO is doing? 21 members of the European Union are NATO members and are committed to spending more than 2% on their defence. So how do you get? How is the 2% there aligned with the 1.5% you were talking about within the European Union? So the tactical groupings, everything you mentioned in the strategic compass exists already. You've said yourselves that the only thing that was missing really was political will. So why are you certain that the political will be there this time? And another question, is it not difficult for you to hear a minister publicly telling off a large member state in terms of a provision of arms? Now, is it serious, really, when a member state are providing arms but not delivering them?
La troisième question, on n'a pas très bien entendu.
We didn't entirely understand that third question. You say, what did a member state do? Yes, this morning, upon arrival, the minister of a small member state publicly deplored the fact that certain larger member states were not keeping their promises when it came to actually delivering arms promised to Ukraine. Now, do you not think that is embarrassing?
Je ne suis pas au courant de tout ce que les États membres disent quand ils arrivent à parler avec la presse à l'entrée du Conseil. Je ne peux pas commenter.
On
je ne sais pas quel
arrival,
État membre a
I
dit
can't really
quoi
comment
par
because I
rapport
don't know
à
who
qui.
said what
En tout cas, à l'intérieur
with
du
regard
Conseil,
to
cette
who.
question n'a
Certainly
pas
within the
été
Council,
soulevée.
this was not
Donc,
raised
je ne peux pas vous
today.
répondre
So
sur quelque
I
chose que
can't
je ne connais pas et qui, à
answer
l'intérieur
on
du
something
Conseil,
I'm not qualified to
n'a pas
comment
été
on.
soulevé
It was
à
not
aucun
something
moment. Je me
discussed
fais
within the
responsable du
Council
débat
today at any stage.
dans le Conseil.
Now, of course, I'm
Pas de l'information
responsible
qu'on
for
vous
commenting
fournisse
on
dans les
the
doorstep avant de
meeting of
commencer
the
le Conseil.
Council, but not for what anybody may have said
Écoutez,
on the doorstep.
Il faudrait que j'explique à nouveau toute la
Now,
boussole.
Perhaps
La boussole, c'est un outil
I need to explain
complémentaire
again
à l'OTAN.
That the
Oui,
strategic
il y a des États
compass
membres
is
qui sont membres de
complementary to
l'OTAN et
NATO.
d'autres qui ne
Of
le
course,
sont pas.
there are member states who are
Mais
NATO
l'OTAN
members and others who
ne
aren't.
fournira pas une solution à
But we
tous
won't
les
be able
problèmes
to get a
de
solution
sécurité et
to all
défense pour les
security and
Européens.
defense problems of
C'est
Europeans.
un élément pour organiser la
But it
complémentarité à
is
l'OTAN.
a way of organizing
Et on a dit
activities
ça dans les
complementary
textes
to NATO's
tellement de fois que
activities.
ça
And we've
m'ennuie
said that
même
so
de le
often
répéter.
now that it's quite boring
L'activité
to
des
have to
États
say it
membres
again.
reste chacun
The member
pour soi,
states are
tous ensemble dans
and remain
l'OTAN,
responsible
l'outil fondamental
for
pour la
themselves
défense
and within
territoriale de
NATO.
l'Europe. Mais dans les traités de l'Union
But
européenne, on
within
dit
the
qu'on a la
EU
volonté,
treaties, we have also
et j'imagine que
stated
tous
that
ceux
there
qui ont
is the
souscrit les traités
desire,
le savent,
there is the will
on a la volonté de créer des outils
to create
à l'échelle européenne
tools at the European level
pour renforcer la
for
capacité
strengthentering
européenne
the
dans le domaine de
European
la sécurité
capacity
et défense.
in security and
Et on
defense.
dit qu'on va
So
avancer
we've said that we
progressivement
will
vers une
progress
union qui
gradually
puisse
towards
représenter
a
un effort
union
additionnel
that
complémentaire
will
à l'OTAN.
provide something additional
faut
and
l'organiser.
complementary to NATO.
Il faut
That needs to be structured
mettre
now.
les
It needs to be
objectifs.
organized.
Il
We
faut
need
dire qui va faire
concrete
quoi,
targets. We need to say
comment
who's
va-t-on
going to
faire
do
pour
what
devenir plus
and
fort.
how we're going
Et
to
c'est ça que la
strengthen
boussole décrit.
or step up our capabilities. And that's
Évidemment,
what the
vous me direz,
compass
oui, mais avant, on avait
describes.
déjà
Well,
décidé
you'll
d'autres
say,
choses qui n'ont pas
oh,
marché.
but other things have been
Bon,
decided in the
cette
past
fois-ci,
which
on a
didn't
revu
materialize. Well,
pourquoi elles n'ont pas marché.
this time we've looked
Et on a
at why
essayé
they didn't
d'offrir
materialize,
une
and we've
alternative
tried
à la fois
to
ambitieuse
offer
et
an
réaliste.
alternative
Je
that
ne
is
pense pas que
ambitious
dans
and
le futur, on avait
realistic.
décidé
Now,
d'avoir cette Rapid Deployment Force.
the rapid
On avait
deployment
décidé
force
d'autre
was
chose.
not something that was
Ces choses n'ont pas
decided in the
marché.
past. Other things may have
On
been
n'a
that
pas,
didn't
on l'a pas
work
utilisé.
and didn't
Mais
materialize
on
and
a
have
fait
not
un
been
effort
utilized.
pour mettre ensemble les volontés
But
d'agir
now
des
we're
États membres
bringing together
dans tous ces
this
domaines que j'ai
desire
décrits.
to act on the part of the
Agir,
member states.
investir,
So it's about
faire des
acting,
partenariats,
investing, generating
offrir sécurité.
partnerships, providing
Il y a une longue liste
security.
d'actions.
There's
Il y
a
a plus
whole
d'une
list
cinquantaine
of
d'actions qui vont être
actions, more
développées.
than 50 that will
Ça ne se
be
fera pas de la nuit au lendemain.
developed. Of course, it's not going to
Mais
happen
on va voir
overnight.
si on est capable de
But
développer ce
we
qu'on
will see
on s'est
whether
engagé à
we
faire.
can
Aucun document
do
change la
what we've
réalité. La
committed
réalité est
to. Now,
changée
no
par les actions.
document will
Mais les actions
change
ont besoin d'un guide, un
the
guide pour l'action.
reality. But
Et
we
c'est
need
ça
a
la boussole,
guide
c'est un
for
guide pour
action
l'action.
in the field. And
On va
that's what
faire
this
ça
strategic compass is.
dans
It's a
ces périodes
guide
de
for
temps.
action.
Avec ses ressources.
And
On
we're
va
saying
développer
what
des
we're going to try
capacités,
and
on va
do,
investir
when,
plus,
with what
on va
resources.
développer nos partenariats. Je ne peux pas vous résumer en 5 minutes tout ce que
Now,
la boussole dit.
of course, I can't summarize the contents
je vous
of
en
the
prie,
strategic compass in 5
donnez-nous le
minutes,
bénéfice
but
de la doute.
do give us the benefit
Vous
of
allez
the
voir.
doubt, and you'll see.
Merci. You have the floor. No, you have to go to the...
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry.
And please present yourself and your media.
James Bayes from Al Jazeera. High Representative, you say no concrete decisions today. You've got a very busy week of diplomacy ahead. Do you expect there to be further sanctions adopted this week, and could they be extended to the energy sector? And also, there are reports that Russia may want sanctions lifted as part of any peace deal. So are your EU sanctions permanent, or are they potentially negotiable?
Look, formal adoption of sanctions require a procedure, and I don't think during this week it will be a formal adoption of sanctions according with our procedures. But certainly the European Union Council, when we'll be discussing about the situation in Ukraine, the leaders, I'm sure, they will consider again what else can be done on the field of sanctions. In any case, the European Union Council provides political guidance. And this political guidance then is being converted in practical and concrete decisions, legally binding, by the technical bodies. So I don't think it's going to be a formal decision of a new package of sanctions, but certainly the European Union Council will provide guidance about how to develop the future. And I don't want to speculate about what is going to be or not on the negotiation for a ceasefire. But I want to insist on the absolute need of stopping this war. All the war reaches an end, and they reach an end through an agreement. And the first step for an agreement is a ceasefire. Keep in mind the sufferances of the people in Mariupol. Keep in mind the people who are being bombed, killed, people who are starving, escaping. The houses of the Europeans are full of images on their TV screens of what's happening in Ukraine. This has to stop. And on stopping this war, now we are using all our diplomatic efforts. We are supporting Ukraine. We are pushing for negotiations. We ask to Russia to stop this barbaric war. And once the ceasefire will be agreed, then certainly it will have to be negotiations about how to make the peace permanent. And sanctions, they are a way of putting pressure. And believe me, they are damaging a lot the Russian economy.
Laura, you have the floor.
Hola, buenas tardes. Laura Zornoza para la agencia EFE. Quería preguntarle al alto representante sobre si el ministro español les ha transmitido a los socios el cambio de posición del gobierno respecto al Sahara. Quería saber si la Unión Europea prevé alinearse con esta nueva posición que ha anunciado España, si cree que el plan que tiene Marruecos es una opción entre varias posibles y si cree que se alinea con las resoluciones de Naciones Unidas.
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be able to say that much to you about that right now because this issue was not discussed in the Council. Seguramente el ministro español habrá comentado con sus colegas informalmente como lo ha hecho conmigo, pero no ha habido una información formal como un punto del orden del día.
Formal information was provided. It wasn't a formal point on the agenda, but what I can say is that the EU's position is still the same. Namely,
pleno respeto y apoyo a las resoluciones de las Naciones Unidas.
The UN resolutions.
Y que cualquier solución al problema tiene que encontrarse en el marco
has to be found within the framework of those resolutions.
También es lo que dice en la carta enviada por el gobierno español a Marruecos. También dice claramente que la solución tiene que encontrarse por acuerdo entre las partes en el marco de las resoluciones de las Naciones Unidas. Expresa una preferencia por una solución, pero insiste en que la solución tiene que encontrarse en el marco de las resoluciones de las Naciones Unidas. Es exactamente lo que dice la Unión Europea y lo dijo bien claramente en el 2019 por última y concreta vez. La solución al problema del Sahara tiene que venir del acuerdo entre las partes en el marco de la resolución de las Naciones Unidas. Y por lo que he leído de la carta enviada por España, no la contradice.
Sent by Spain, but that doesn't say anything different.
If you don't mind, I will take one last question remotely, and it will be Rosie.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, but you need to raise your voice because we can hardly hear you.
Okay. Rosie Burchard for Feature Story News. High Representative, could you give us some more details on Mali? You said you're asking for security guarantees from the Transitional authorities? What are those? And can you flesh out, you mentioned support to Burkina Faso and Niger. What kind of support is that? I think it was relatively vague until now. What are the plans there? Thank you very much.
Sobre el Mali creo que he sido todo lo detallado que podía ser.
I was as detailed as I could be.
Hemos mandado
I think we've sent
a las autoridades de Mali
to the Malian authorities a request that they clarify the conditions under which we could continue to deploy our mission of military training. Until we get that response, I have asked the military chief of the mission, who is there in the field, to adapt the activities of the mission to the circumstances they are facing.
Que mantengamos aquellas misiones de formación que no están directamente relacionadas con la formación al combate de las tropas del ejército de Mali.
Malian troops in military combat.
¿Cuáles son las condiciones en las cuales podríamos o no continuarlo?
There would be for us to continue the mission or not, as the case may be. At any rate, it won't be cancelled. That would require a unanimous decision of the member states. What we can do is graduate, make the intensity of the action, so we can leave certain activities to one side, develop others. We can chop and change, but at the moment we are waiting for a response from the Malian authorities. In addition to that, and I think I explained this, but I'll repeat it, with the budgetary resources of the EU, we will continue to provide aid
al pueblo de Mali y a los
to
ciudadanos
the
del
people
Sahel
of
en
Mali
general,
and citizens in
pero
the
mantenemos
Sahel
congelada
in general.
la ayuda
But what will be
directa
frozen
al
is
gobierno.
direct aid to the government.
Thank you very much, and this closes our press conference today. You have still a Foreign Affairs Council.
But we still have another
Exactly.
council meeting.
Yes, with the defense ministers.
With the defense ministers to make the point on the military situation in Ukraine. From the military approach, where the war is, what's happening on the ground. Today, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, we have been discussing about sanctions, diplomacy, vote in the United Nations. Now we are going to study deeply how the war is going, and I think we are going to share important information about the military situation in the ground.
And they are waiting for you.
And they are waiting for you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.